You could start it the same way, end it a little differently, start it differently, end it the same way. Let's try, instead of going do 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 down, let's try up. Sounds cool. Up. Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video I want to share with you one of my favorite strategies for coming up with new ideas when you're improvising in a band setting, over a jam track, along with your favorite songs, and it's called motivic development. That's the fancy name for it, that's the classical term for this technique, because this was something that was used a lot by composers, most famously Beethoven, when he went da 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 and took that riff da 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 and then developed it into an amazing symphony. And all a motif is just a really small musical idea. You could call it a phrase. Generally a phrase is a little bit longer, like a full sentence, where a motif is just kind of part of a sentence if you want to equate language with music. But really all it is taking a small idea that you really like and developing it, reinterpreting it, trying it over different chords, varying the rhythm, varying the notes slightly. And our starting idea could be something that you discover one of your favorite musicians playing, so just a little idea that really resonates with you. You can learn how to play that by transcribing it by ear, by learning it online or using Tab or a YouTube video or guitartricks.com, but just starting with one little idea and then developing that, workshopping that. And that's how you develop your own vocabulary. You hear what someone else says to you musically, and you say it back in your own way and in different ways. Another place to find great ideas is just melodic patterns that you might be practicing with, so I'll demonstrate that. And also just generating your own ideas, trying to hum something, you come up with something you really like, or you discover something and then you workshop that. So these are three different sources for our motifs. So I'm going to demonstrate all of that. But before we get into it, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all of the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. And if you want to be notified of any new video that comes out, be sure to tap the bell. All right, let's get into it. So first let's start with the first method I talked about, which was finding a riff you really like and workshopping it. Okay, so here's a riff that's very similar to something I heard recently that I want to workshop. So it goes like this. Now I heard it in the context of A minor or A blues, you know. So right now I'm in the A minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. And what I do is I go from the 5th fret on the B string to the 8th fret, back and forth, da, 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 and then I slide up from 8 to 10 on that same B string, and then on the E string, on fret 8, I do a little quarter bend. So it goes. So it's got a rhythm. Ba 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 ba. So I could use that as part of my motivic development, and I could also think about the melody that's going on here. So we got da 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 do do. So it really do 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 do. It kind of ascends, right? Do da do da do do da. So I'm thinking about that melodic contour. I'm thinking about that rhythm. I'm really not thinking about it. I'm internalizing that. I'm feeling that, and that's what I'm going to work with. So I'm going to put on a jam track from guitartricks.com. And I am going to workshop this idea. Now, the jam track is not going to be in the key of A, and maybe the chords are going to keep changing, and I'm going to keep working with this content, with this riff, with this motif, to kind of expand on it and make it my own, to really incorporate it into my own vocabulary. So here we go. All right, so I found a blues backing track in the key of F, not even close to A. All right, so now we got a slow blues. And when I first learned this riff, it was over kind of a fast tune, but I could still workshop it. So first thing, I'm in the key of F now. Right? Instead of A minor. So I'm gonna play it first in the context of F. All right, so right off the bat, I played that riff in 3 ways. I went da 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 da, because still da 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 da. I'm still developing da 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 da. The second time I went da 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 da, and then I did something like. I'm still just working within that little riff. I'm using those notes as my palette. I'm using that kind of melody as my palette. I'm gonna do as much as I can with that motif. Now, check this out. So I got bored playing the same thing over and over. You probably got bored hearing it, but I stuck with the rhythm. So I did something like. I stuck with that da 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 da. Right? So now I'm gonna use this melodic do-da-do-da-do. That's my motif, bo-da-boo-da-boo-bee. I'm gonna use that rhythm and that melodic contour to get away from those notes and go elsewhere on the fretboard, but still develop that idea. Check this out. What I just started doing is I started very literal with the motif, kind of, and then I started adding riffs in between the motif or the motif inspired reinterpretations. And then I kind of, in my head, was thinking of the motif, but was going real far out where you might not have even heard the influence anymore, just a little bit of influence. So I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna play the motif, but I'm gonna add things in between. And then I'm gonna think of the motif, but really kind of bring it into left field. Okay, here we go. There's the motif. That was just something in between. There's that motif there and then some other stuff in between. Right? So it's just like, it's that underlying, I keep coming back to it. Now the key here with finding a riff you like is understanding the context, right? Like in the beginning, I played a riff in A minor. But then I threw on a backing track in F. And And then I had to go, because I knew the context of this riff. I knew where it was located. It was located in shape 1 of the A minor pentatonic scale right here. Shape 1 to shape 2. So then when I went to F, I knew if I want to play the riff exactly the same thing, but shape 1 of the F minor pentatonic. But then, knowing that, I can go anywhere with it. You know, then I could go, right? I could bring it in different places and I could go backwards. Right? Like that's still, it's still that rhythm. Ba da ba da ba da da. That's still following that motif. Still that rhythm. So now let's say it's your own idea. So one thing I would encourage you to do is press play on a backing track and try to hum an idea that you really like. Hum it over and over until it really feels like something melodic that sticks in your head, right? So here's an example. All right, here we go. Bound, down, down, down. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. Just trying different things out. Down, da, 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 down. Down, da, 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 down. I liked it real simple. Down, down, da, da, down. Down, down, da, da, down. Something like that. So yeah. I like that. Dun, dun, ba-dum, bum. All right, I found something. So I did a combination of using my voice and then on the guitar, and I liked bam, bam, ba-dum, bum. Yeah. That's what I like. So I got a rhythm there. Ba, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, 4, 1, boom, boom, ba-dum, boom. And I got a melodic pattern. Let's see what I can do with that. All right, here we go. I did the motif twice and then added some space. Very close, a little different. So what I did there is I started it the same way and ended it 3 different ways. I went, right? You know, you could start it the same way, end it a little differently, start it differently, end it the same way. Let's try, instead of going do 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 down, let's try up. Sounds cool. Up. All right, let's try something that's not blues. Here's a track in G major, and what I like to do with these tracks is practice my scales over tracks because you hear the scale more in context and it's a little more enjoyable and emotional feeling. But instead of just running the scales up and down, I like to apply patterns because melodies are made up of patterns, right? So one popular pattern I really like is thirds. And let me show you that. That's where you go, you start on one note of the scale, you skip over the second, and you go to the third, then you go to the second, then the fourth, then the third, then the fifth, then the fourth, then the sixth, then the fifth, then the seventh. Really good for finger dexterity, really good for mastering scales, and really good to have those tools when you're improvising creatively. So here's an example of just practicing scales in thirds over this track. I'm gonna take this motif of thirds and just improvise using thirds. Not only, but a lot. I'm gonna keep that in mind as my motif. So that was just all thirds, literally just going down the scale without changing anything. But now I'm gonna play some thirds, but I'm gonna add stuff to it. So I'm thinking more melodically now, right? Let me start that over. Now I'm just gonna play some thirds because it's still sounding mechanical, but I'm gonna keep it in mind. And a 1, 2, 3. So really the whole idea here is just taking something very small, a concept, a riff, an idea, and stretching it out, trying it in different ways, moving it around a little, but still kind of keeping to the central idea. Because it's the same as when we learn language, right? Like everything we say, we've pretty much said before, but never exactly the same way. When we speak extemporaneously, when we improvise in our speech all day long, every day, and in our thoughts, we keep saying things a little differently. It's the same with guitar. You learn the language by learning all the sounds that you like, the songs you like, the solos you like, the riffs you like, and then where it starts to get creative is when you take those ideas and say them in new ways, right? So being creative isn't about coming up with brand new ideas that came out of nowhere, that have never been played before. It's about taking all your influences and finding your own way to say them. And the best way to practice that in the practice room is throwing on these jam tracks and just workshopping vocabulary by taking the small ideas and rearranging the rhythm, rearranging the notes, playing them in with different notes, playing them over different chords, and so on and so forth. So that is motivic development. And a lot of times you will hear that in some of your favorite solos, where a soloist starts in one place and there's this thread that runs throughout. There's just this kind of familiarity that just keeps, it's like a single flower that just keeps blooming, right? All right, now I'm starting to ramble. All right, everybody, if you want to access hundreds of different jam tracks, head over to guitartricks.com, where you can just go on through the list, try all the stuff out, have fun, happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.